Hi there, my name's Chad Costen, and I'm the director of The Legend of Zelda: A Missing Link. I called it A Missing Link because, like many of you, fans of the Zelda franchise, I've always wanted to see what a live-action series or a live-action feature film would be like. I think thanks to things like the Mario Brothers movie back in the 90s, Nintendo was very gun-shy about approaching live-action anything of one of their properties. And of course, you know, the games are what they're all about. So uh, I don't blame them whatsoever for not going down this road. But I did want to show that it's possible to take a beloved franchise like The Legend of Zelda and turn it into something that could be consumable as a movie on the big screen or a TV series. It was actually encouraged by the IGN April Fool's Day Zelda that was released some years ago. And I wasn't a fan because I felt that it was very derivative of Lord of the Rings, which I think is pretty obvious when you watch it. And I thought, you know, if Zelda were to exist as a live action show, it really should have a spirit that is very unique to the world of The Legend of Zelda. And that could be better captured by, you know, doing something that was more sincere and more connected to the original material. So my hope and approach with this project was to look at movies as inspiration that I loved as a kid or even just in recent years, and try to glean from those the best bits to produce something that I think would fit into a Zelda universe. When asked about the project, I usually say it's, in my head, a combination between The Princess Bride, which is one of my favorite childhood films, and Where the Wild Things Are. I think Spike Jonze is an incredible director, and his work with that movie really touches you, and I think it was made more for adults than it was for children, but the approach that they took with the monsters and the look of that world and the honesty and the heart is something that has to be intact in a Zelda story of any kind, especially something that was to be live action.
What did she say? Don't lose hope. In darkness, you will always find a source of light. Fairies. Great timing. I was getting a little bored of being lost on the side of a mountain.
One of the things I knew would give me a little bit of a lashback from fans is that Link speaks. I also, of course, made him right-handed, but that had more to do with the actor being more capable with a sword with his right hand than his left. And Scott is an amazing guy, and he was literally my only choice to play Link. And I know some people aren't on board right away with him being a little bit cowardly at the start of this, but the whole point is that the character has somewhere to grow and somewhere to go throughout the story. So we have to see him find his courage. You're not born with courage. Courage isn't courage if you're brave for no reason. Courage comes from being afraid and overcoming those fears to accomplish your goal.
High and dry, mostly wet and dirty. And if you weren't like a little hands-free lantern right now, I'd tell you to flutter off.
Having Link speak, of course, ruffles some feathers, but if you really pay attention and you're a long-time gamer, you know that Link does respond. We don't hear him because the character was actually named Link to be a link between the player and the game or the game characters. But he does respond, we just don't hear those words. And the other characters react to him as if he had said something. So Link does have a voice, and when you're going to make a live-action movie or a long series of any sort, you have to have your main character be able to communicate with the other characters in the world, I think, well, at least in my version. So, I mean, everyone's going to have their own take on what Link should be like. And, you know, this is mine, and I hope that it's just one version of Link and many incarnations of Link that have existed throughout the games and maybe future series. So at the beginning of the journey, we set out to basically just encapsulate the world. And I remember I actually wanted to start this project back in 2011, before I even owned an HD camera of any kind. I was still shooting on DV. And so I shot some small bits and pieces and a couple plates and some tests. And I really wanted to do it, and I actually got a lot of flack for it because, at the time, people around me were saying, well, why would you waste your energy and time making a Zelda project when you could be doing that into something original? And, the irony is that I think if I had pursued it completely, I'm glad I waited to do it of better quality, but I think if I had pursued it as my heart was telling me to at the time, I probably would have been at the very forefront of making high quality live action remakes of, or I guess trailers, that sort of thing. And now they're very popular and, almost a dime a dozen on YouTube. So, I probably waited too long, but it was an amazing experience to do this. So much fun. And I actually was just tired of trying to get original work noticed. And it's a hard thing. I think that there's so much content out there now that people don't really sit up and pay attention unless it's something branded or already recognizable. And I think even from large studios to small studios, everybody sort of feels that. And there is, obviously a lot of room for new content, but I think getting eyeballs on it is tough because you have to swim through a lot more layers to get people to pay attention. So I thought, maybe I'm just going to do something that I've always wanted to do that's a lot of fun for me and will teach me things that I've always wanted to learn. I already knew how to use After Effects to some degree, but there was a lot that I didn't know, and I've always loved miniatures and making models and creatures and things, and so I thought, well, what better project to kind of do all the bits and pieces of things. That's why I'm an indie filmmaker in the first place, is so that I can create. I think I'm more of an artist and a storyteller who works through video than I am, a director. I obviously take the director credit when I'm making a project, but I just get so involved with every little bit and piece of it because to me it's just like when I was 14 years old and I had a little handheld camera and I was making a project and forcing my sister to act and my cousins and neighbors to make a project of some sort that just inspired me. So it hasn't really changed. And, my job is not making movies. My job is teaching people how to make movies and tell their own stories. But, I still love to produce things of my own. And this is definitely where my heart and my attention goes. And, hopefully it'll turn into something where I, can make more money at it so that I can keep producing. I just want to be able to have a bigger budget to be able to make bigger, cooler things that I care about. I love just making things, all kinds of things. I would very much like to hit 1 million views, and once we do, I'm going to take this video and a package to Nintendo, or I'm going to try and see if I can get their attention. And it will include a small Bible for the series proposal, as well as a polished pilot episode of The Legend of Zelda: A Missing Link. And now that I've talked your ear off for about almost 10 minutes, I just wanted to try to relay why I wanted to make A Missing Link. And hopefully we'll get to make more projects like this, or if Nintendo sits up and takes notice, maybe they'll even hire us to make a live-action Legend of Zelda series. So if you want to support more of the kinds of projects that I'm working on and would like to do, please check out my Patreon. I have a website, chadcosten.com. You can take a look at that too. And of course, please subscribe and share and let everybody know that there's a kind of cool Zelda thing out there that they might not have seen yet. Coming up soon, for patrons, I'm going to release a comprehensive behind the scenes of how we made this entire project, which took a total of about 3 years with probably 30-some friends of mine to bring this to life. Anyway, thanks again for watching. Really, really appreciate it. I still can't believe that I've got so many people that are interested in the videos that I'm working on, so thank you so much. It's really encouraging, and I think without subscribers and positive comments and just fellow fans telling me to keep going, I wouldn't still be making many of these semi-personal but pseudo-professional projects. So anyway, thanks a lot, and remember, it's dangerous to go alone, so take this video with you. that's cheesy. Anyway, you get the point. Oh, and before I forget, if you're also a fan of 80s films, I am about to release a short teaser trailer for The Last Starfighter sequel called The Last Starfighter Legacy. And yes, that's basically like Tron, but it's not original that way. It's just a cool idea that I have for a sequel movie, which I hear is already actually in the works anyway. So I'm behind on that as well. But it's coming out soon, so again, stay tuned, and thanks again for your support.